Welcome to Taiwan, a small island with a very big influence on global politics. This could become the flashpoint for one of the most complex relationships in modern history. And while US influence in Taiwan is no secret, not everyone in the West is happy about it. Enter Paul Keating, Australia's former Prime Minister, and his unexpected feud with Nancy Pelosi. So, what's at the heart of this clash? And what does it say about the future of Taiwan? We in the West are pretty used to Team America World Police talking points in our media. So when a contrary viewpoint comes up, it can be quite refreshing. Is that a monkey? So in this video, I want to discuss the United States' interests in Taiwan, along with the public feud between Prime Minister Keating and Nancy Pelosi. So here on 7:30 is the big dog, Paul Keating, former Australian Prime Minister, statesman, and a bloke who has no problem kicking the boot.
If we didn't have an aggressive ally, like the United States, aggressive to others in the region, there'd be nobody attacking Australia. Like, we are better left alone than we are being protected by an aggressive power like the United States.
Now, while I don't want Australia to be the main focus of this video, this viewpoint isn't one you hear in mainstream media very often. That being a US ally means you've picked a side in a potential conflict. Australia has followed the US into almost every war. None of these have been in Australia's interest, unless you think blindly following Uncle Sam is in our interest.
The Americans are not a countervailing force there. Look, just imagine this, Sarah. Just imagine if the Chinese Blue Water Navy was sailing down the coast of California, stopping off, or nearby stopping off, in Los Angeles and San Diego. Could you imagine the uproar, right? But this is what they do every day of the week to the Chinese.
I guess one example would be the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Soviet Union projected power just offshore the United States, and the US felt threatened. World War III was a probable outcome. Now, consider that China is surrounded by the first island chain. Taiwan is a key part of that. So, it's reasonable to assume that China feels a bit threatened.
Why shouldn't Australia embrace an alliance that counterbalances that power?
Because that power has no strategic designs upon Australia. I mean, what this is all about is the Chinese laying claim to Taiwan. And the Americans are going to say, no, we're going to keep these Taiwanese people protected, even though they're sitting on Chinese real estate.
Although let me just stop there on the Chinese real estate. What about Taiwanese real estate and the wishes of the Taiwanese people?
So Sarah Ferguson is looking very, very smug here. Like, she's realised she just got her clickbait from the interview. So let's just run this part of the interview and provide no context. Like the part where he said, it will resolve itself. And yes, I am filming this bit in front of a demon penis.
It'll get resolved socially and politically over time. That's what'll happen there. But the thing is, it's not our matter. I mean, does anyone want their kids to be shot to death on a sandy beach in Taiwan?
Hey look, I've made some friends. Anyway, in response to this teeny tiny bit of the interview, the ABC decided to interview former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
That's ridiculous. It is not Chinese real estate, and he should know that. Taiwan is Taiwan, and it's of the people of Taiwan who have a democracy there.
Democracy? Fuck yeah. Don't you think it's adorable they're still using that democracy line? The US has propped up so many dictators and overthrown so many democracies in the past. Here's some now.
I have no idea about Keating, but I think it was a stupid statement to make. And I don't know what his connection is to China that he would say such a thing. But it is really not in the security interest of the Asian Pacific region for people to talk that way.
No, she didn't say that. Oh my God, what a bitch. I really don't know what to make of this. I just found a 7-Eleven with a bar inside. This is very, very, very unexpected. Have any of you ever eaten pig blood cake before? I haven't. It's pretty rich. It doesn't taste like a lot though. It tastes more like the salt they added to it. What was I talking? Something to do with Nancy Pelosi. Let's continue this video later, shall we? Part of me feels a bit silly discussing such a public tiff like I'm some kind of gossip columnist, but it's genuinely entertaining. Anyway, in response, Keating described Pelosi as the pot calling the kettle black. This is from the former leader of the US House of Representatives who, in a recklessly indulgent visit to Taiwan in 2022, she nearly brought the United States and China to a military confrontation for the first time since the Second World War. In fact, Pelosi had to be warned by her president, Joe Biden, and with him at the Pentagon, of the military risks of her visit. Oh no, he didn't. Does anyone remember that movie You Got Served? This joke probably won't work then. It was basically like Tokyo Drift, but with rap dancing or something. So does Keating have a point? Not about Pelosi, she's clearly recklessly indulgent. Just look at her stock portfolio, am I right? But is Keating right about the US not being a countervailing force? Are they more of an agitating force in the region? Now, I think that depends who you ask. Every country in the world has interests, and since World War II, the United States' primary interest was to create a unipolar world where they have the biggest navy. Now, this navy would guarantee freedom of navigation for international shipping routes, which basically means any country, let's say Japan, can sell Tamagotchis to Aberystwyth. In exchange for this freedom of navigation, other countries don't get to challenge the United States. The US gets to control all the major foreign policy institutions. They have the global reserve currency. They get to overthrow foreign governments. They get to root your mum. Whatever they want. However though, if you're a good ally, you get to trade with the United States on friendly terms. Rule-based order. Behind me is the original home of bubble tea. Did you know that was in Taiwan? No wonder the People's Republic want to get their hands on this place. It's really good. Taiwan does have genuine security concerns. I can't downplay that. One of the biggest military powers in the world is on their doorstep, and they have stated that they want to reclaim or unify Taiwan. You can definitely feel it here as well. Like, there's signs for bomb shelters everywhere. I went to a train station and I saw thick metal blast doors. Because Taiwan is such a global flashpoint and it's an island, I can't help but think this entire coastline is probably being monitored every square inch at all times, definitely by the Chinese, which also makes me think, if I was going to urinate right there, they'd probably see, wouldn't they? Okay, now if any of you think that joke was in poor taste, they were the ones watching. Do not victim blame. This channel says no to victim blaming. And if you find it funny that my penis is now in a Chinese database, smash like on this video and also hit subscribe. It really helps the channel and the algorithm. So what does the US want? Record in here. So what does the US want with Taiwan? Well, the first thing, although kind of tertiary to the big picture, first thing is semiconductors. Taiwan makes a lot of these. As of 2022, they produced roughly about 65% of the world's supply. These are essential components to all electronic devices. The think tank, the Heritage This place is so loud, I probably shouldn't be recording in a market. The think tank, the Heritage Foundation, yeah, the Project 2025 people state that if a war hampered the ability of these Taiwanese firms to operate, much of global manufacturing would grind to a halt. Far from being a liability, Taiwan is indispensable to the prosperity and security of the United States. I'm the Heritage Foundation. I'm really sorry, but that's the only American accent I know how to do. That little quote, that's a commonly held view across a lot of institutions in the United States. CEO betel nut, the betel nut of choice for CEOs. That's where you're going wrong, Jeff Bezos. Your gums aren't red enough. I'm in the middle of a big hike, so this next section is going to be very Peter Zihan. Zihan? The second and main thing the US wants from Taiwan is to contain China, who it seems they really don't like. To explain briefly, Taiwan is a key part of the first island chain. This is a geographical line of islands just off China's coast, which is heavily militarized by the US and its allies. The first island chain is essentially the bouncer asking China, "Oh, how many ships you got there, bro?" "Nah, not tonight, mate." "Man, every time, bro. Fuck." So the US is definitely a countervailing force for Taiwan, but is it for the rest of the region? They definitely agitate China. And I'm sure there's lots of cases in recent history where a country has been agitated and then started a war. Is an agitated China good for regional stability? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. That just looked like I was pointing at my dick. One extra thing to note about the US containment strategy of China is the alliance structure in the Pacific. American political scientist and international relations expert John Mearsheimer describes it like this on the Lex Friedman podcast.
If we were to let Taiwan go, it would have hugely negative consequences for our alliance structure in East Asia. To contain China, we need allies. We have an alliance structure. And our allies, Japanese, South Koreans, Filipinos, Australians, they're all counting on us to be there for them. And if we say we're not going to defend Taiwan, the Chinese attack, they're going to say, I bet if the Chinese attack us, the Americans won't be there for us. So it would have a damaging effect on our alliance structure, which we cannot afford.
So this argument is being used as a reason why China won't attack Taiwan. And if you believe the US will go all out in containing China, it's a plausible theory. So ever since the Mao-Nixon meeting and the Shanghai Communique of 1972, the United States acknowledges that Chinese on either side of the Taiwan Strait maintain there is but one China and that Taiwan is part of China. This sounds confusing, but it's by design. The US doesn't officially recognize Taiwan as a country. The US supports peaceful reunification with China, but it also said it would support Taiwan from an invasion by China. It's also discouraged any Taiwanese independence movement, as this would signal a two-China policy. All of this, it's pure strategic ambiguity. Right there is Taipei 101, which was once the tallest building in the world. So that damn Burj Khalifa got involved. Now before we finish up, I'm going to point out the obvious, that it's really, really hard to predict future events. But what we do know is that today the current status quo is tolerable by both China and Taiwan, acting under the pretense that both mainland China and Taiwan are in fact both the same country means neither party is satisfied. But they're also not at war. And if there's one thing this channel doesn't like, it's war. So if you're with me hating war, caress that like button and then caress that video right there. Together we can stop the shadowy globalist agenda. Thank you very much.